Well, welcome to the episode one production breakdown. In other words, the behind the scenes on the Jaxs Lab project. What we're going to go through is introductions, a little bit about our team, how we transitioned from Web 2 to Web 3, the inspiration behind our project, and then walk through the specifics on the chapters. First of all, I am Spencer X. Smith and work here at Amplify, and I'll turn it over to Mike and Ken to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Mike. I've been with Amplify for a couple of years, and I work with our clients to create client through various different platforms, whether that's in-person recording videos or creating animation videos as well.
I'm Kenzie. I was picked up as an intern a little bit ago, but now I do a lot of the storytelling and social media for Jaxs Lab, and then a few things here and there with client work.
All right, so what you see on the screen right now is our team at Amplify, just a small team of 5, and we started what we traditionally call Web 2, social media, digital marketing, stuff like that. And then as Web 3 has grown in prominence, we've also shifted some of our focus over to that as well. And part of that focus is what we'll get into with the inspiration for our project that we call Jaxs Lab. And I will turn that over to Ken for her thoughts.
So we were kind of talking about how we got this inspiration for Jaxs Lab. And as a team, I think we were riffing on building out some type of project or derivative artwork for quite a bit. And I think one day Spencer said, hey, just take a look at my wallet and let me know if anything kind of calls to you as far as building out a project. So as a team, we were kind of going through, and we noticed kind of one overarching theme is that there are these really great artworks, but they lacked some story behind them and they didn't have lore. So we saw the Deadfellas and we absolutely loved the artwork. We thought Psych did a great job, but we also really resonated with the apocalyptic vibe that we could build out with this fella. So we looked at the IP rights, saw that we could try to tell a story behind fella 920 that you can see on the right. So we named him Jaxs. And then we just kind of started a story of making Jaxs this protagonist in this, what it originally was a choose your own adventure story. You can also see our first ever mural board. It has been quite more developed since then. But that was our first ever mural board as a Jaxs Lab team. And we have kind of pivoted from the Choose Your Own Adventure project into more of what we're doing right now is working with our 23 holders and trying to tell their own story and their own persona. And then, yeah, and we'll kind of dive into the 2D art. So what we started with and how we got where we're going right now.
Mike, we'll turn it over to you.
So when we originally kind of started thinking about the art style for Jaxs Lab, we kind of wanted to make sure that the art that we were creating kind of aligned with the Deadfella brand as well, and kind of make it kind of a seamless transition from the Deadfella world to kind of our project. So what you can kind of see here at the top is some of our kind of concept drawings of what this serum that would kind of save the fellows would kind of look like, and to kind of establish what, you know, that art style would be. But we later transitioned into the world of 3D, and then here's some other, you know, assets that we made. And these were some of the drawings that were done by Kenzie. So I'm not, Kenzie, if you want to kind of go over.
Yeah, so initially right after that mural page that we just looked at, we started building out the world. And that first left picture was the first drawing of Jaxs Lab. And then we kind of continued to build out different areas on the map. And then you can see we got our final map with 3 to 4 separate areas that we thought we could build a really cool story around. For anyone that has been following our project, we started to build out clues that related to each area on the map, but at the time, nobody knew that yet. So we kind of just wanted to show our work process, which remains pretty consistent through our origin story as well. So we kind of do some research, maybe write some of the story, and then we transfer it from a 2D interface or formatting to a 3D, which Mike kind of handles that 3D element. We've had quite a bit of actual drawings here. I like to call it Jax's journal. And this is one key image I wanted to highlight was this timeline here. So we mentioned a choose your own adventure. We're thinking that might be for chapter 1. So we kind of reversed back into building out this world for Jaxs, and that's why we're calling it the origin story. So we're kind of rewinding a bit before that choose your own adventure. And we're just building out our holders and their roles and how they interact with Jaxs, and yeah, just really building out that world. So speaking of building out the world, Mike, you want to talk about the 3D?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're kind of looking at the map that Kenzie mentioned before, we wanted to visually create that in a 3D world through Blender. So Kenzie and I sat down on over a bunch of brainstorming sessions, and we kind of put together what we think would be Jax's world, and we kind of set the stage and tone for what this story would be. So here are a couple different renders from locations all over the world of Jaxs. Some of these made it into the first episode. Some of these might be soon to come. And then if we kind of dive deeper into the episode 1 and look at our workflow of taking those 2D images, making them 3D, and then turning everything into the first episode of what it is, it all starts going back to the brainstorming. Kenzie and I would sit for, hours just kind of thinking of what would Jaxs have, what would his room look like, what would the environment that he lives in look like, and we kind of think of different assets that we need to take from either 2D or just create them in 3D. So here are some assets that Kenzie made. We have the Undead Tribune, a certificate that Jaxs earned studying chemistry, the world map, and then the fellas that Jaxs wants to meet. And so these were all things that we thought would be important for building out the first episode. And they kind of tell the story of Jaxs, and they kind of explain why some things are. And then when we look at where does Jaxs live, where does he study, we came up with the idea of Jaxs Lab. So here is a 3D breakdown of Jaxs Lab. Here's kind of the main overview of it. And then down below, we also have different renders from each side of Jaxs Lab, so you can get a better look of it. But the gist of it is that Jaxs, after the first apocalypse, Jaxs kind of moved into this library where he set up his lab, and he continues to study. And this is kind of where the first episode takes place, is strictly in Jaxs Lab. So if we talk about elements that we mentioned before that we think would have been important, here is how they kind of played out in the first episode. So you have that map pinned to Jax's whiteboard with a list of fellas that he wants to meet, and then pins of where all those fellas might be, with that newspaper sitting on his desk and then his certificate proudly standing on his workstation. But 3D, building the world in 3D is not the only work that went into producing the first episode. We also needed to include the voiceover, motion graphics, and then the sound design. So for our voiceover, Spencer went ahead and recorded it all within probably one of our favorite programs called Descript. If there's any creatives out there, I would highly recommend looking into this program, because it does an incredible job with not only just recording voiceovers, but it also transcribes it as well. So you can have an automatic text output of the voiceover that you just recorded. So we took the voiceover that Spencer created, and then we added some motion graphics to it, some things that we couldn't create solely in Blender, which is going to be that animation that you saw for the first episode. So this was made within After Effects. This is a program that I've been working in for many years, and it's always fun when I can combine working in Blender into After Effects and then taking it all into Premiere Pro for the sound design. So I included some sample clips, and you can kind of see where those might fall in the timeline. But this was the timeline I made for the first episode. So as you can see, the video, which is going to be on top, is much simpler than what the sound design did. And then through all those different elements comes together and creates the full episode. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can certainly check it out right here. All right. And that was our episode 1 breakdown. So we will be doing these for each episode, and then also in the description, you'll be able to find the link to this Notion doc, so you can go through here, zoom in on different graphics, and then kind of read more about some of the work we did.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thanks, Kenz. And if you like this video and you like seeing behind the scenes, let us know in the comments how you feel about it, and if there's anything you'd like us to expand on further, because we went through some of the tools pretty quickly, just to give you an idea as to the workflow, what it looks like, and what we put together as far as our brainstorm, how it turns into something that would become a video. But let us know what you think, and we will see you in episode 2, and well as behind the scenes with episode 2. So see you then. Thanks.